It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I had the privilege to interview the Boston Pride PA announcer, Paul Baker. How are you doing today?
Good, Brandon. Thanks for having me back on.
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to start working as a PA announcer in sports?
Well, I don't know if I could say that being a PA announcer was the career goal for me. And I always knew I wanted to work in sports somewhere, but I always thought that I could be a play-by-play announcer or a sports writer or something like that. PA announcing is something that just kind of came up because I was working and I was around sports so much that opportunities came up. You know, so much of life is being in the right place at the right time. So when I was in high school, I did the PA announcing for the basketball team because I was acting as the official scorer, and my spot happened to be right next to the microphone jack. And I said, "Yeah, sure, I'll do it." So I didn't do it again. I did some in high school, and then I didn't do any again until a couple of years ago. I had volunteered to work for the Boston Pride, and I worked a couple of games, things like taking tickets, interacting with the fans, stuff like that. And one game I came in and they said they needed somebody to do the PA. I said, "Yeah, I've done that before." So they gave me the script and said, "Get down there, get going. You're our new PA guy." And I must have done all right because 3 seasons later, I'm still doing it. And the UMass Dartmouth job, where I also do some PA work, that job came up just because they needed someone to fill in again. Their regular person couldn't make it, and a good friend of mine runs the shot clock, and he said, "Hey, I know somebody who does PA professionally," and they recommended me, and now I've been doing UMass Dartmouth for a couple seasons. So, and I always thought, I was hoping that my big break in sports would come with the Pawtucket Red Sox. I worked there for 12 years in concessions, and nothing ever came up. And then all of a sudden, the jobs that I have gotten have just kind of been, like I said, being in the right place at the right time.
That's so amazing. Can you talk about, of course, your time with the UMass Dartmouth as the men's and women's basketball PA announcer?
Sure. Now, are we talking about a typical season, or are we talking about the last season, which was really unique, with the COVID precautions and everything? And actually, that might be a little more interesting to talk about. The past year, the biggest part of doing games in the past year at UMass Dartmouth was making sure that we were all tested before the game. Everybody associated with the team had to get tested 48 hours before every game. So even though my full-time job is working at a hospital, and I've been vaccinated, I got vaccinated very early in the process because of my regular job, I still had to go down to UMass Dartmouth twice a week to get my COVID test done. So I guess at least I could say that at the beginning, I don't know if you ever had this COVID test done, but at the beginning, they had these long swabs that they jammed all the way up into your nasal passages. At least they were able to move on from that into smaller ones where you just kind of jab your nostril. That made it a whole lot easier to do twice a week. And like I said, every player, every coach, everybody who stepped foot in that gym had to get the COVID test done at least twice a week. And if anyone associated with any team had a positive test, that entire team had to shut down their operations. And unfortunately, our schedule, we just did a conference schedule with the Little East, and not all the teams opted to play. Out of the 9 teams that are in the conference, only 6 ended up playing. And still, with just 6 teams and 12 games, games were getting rescheduled. They were getting canceled. They were getting pushed back constantly. I can't imagine the work that all the athletic department had to go through to do that. I know that I was in contact with the associate athletic director at UMass Dartmouth, Jack Halloran, constantly throughout the season. He had to give everybody updates, schedule changes. Hey, remember to get your COVID test done, this, that. So he was probably all day sending emails. And like I said, the season was only a dozen games long, and it probably only lasted 7 or 8 weeks. I can't imagine doing something like that for a full season. And we had no fans at the games this year, so that was really different. But I felt my job was to make the experience of the game as close to a typical game experience as I could for the players. So I played up the home team successes, tried to bring energy into the building, did all my usual shtick. We even did our sponsor announcements throughout the game. And I know it helped because at one point some of the players came up and thanked me and said that what we all did, all our efforts made the games feel special and not just like another practice.
That's so amazing. Of course, can you talk about, of course, what it's like whenever COVID was happening, where players would test positive and you won't know until that next hour that
Yeah,
they might not play?
that's it. Like I said, Jack Holleran, the associate athletic director, his job was to let us all know. So there were probably still, even though there were no fans, I would say there were still probably about 15 to 20 people who worked the games between everybody. So, like I said, the goal was to make it as close to a typical game day presentation as possible. So if somebody tested positive on the other team, and this happened a couple times. So I would hear maybe afternoon of a night game, hey, no game tonight. We'll let you know when it's being rescheduled for. So you just had to be very flexible in your planning and, don't write anything in pen, write everything in pencil.
Of course, can you talk about how it is balancing being the PA announcer for Dartmouth and the Boston Pride?
Well, luckily, there was no balancing this year because the seasons didn't overlap. So, like I said, the UMass played this year probably a dozen games, the men and the women each. And the Pride, the NWHL had attempted to play their entire season in a bubble up in Lake Placid. I don't know. You've talked to some of the players. You've had them on your show, so I'm sure they've talked about that. And they weren't able to finish up in Lake Placid. So we thought the season was dead in the water. But then late in March, I guess they came back and said they were going to try to play a championship weekend and do that down in Boston. So for me, at least luckily this year, there were no conflicts. In a normal season, I think last year I might have had a conflict once or twice. And I'm going to be honest, UMass Dartmouth pays me better, and it's closer to home. So generally, they would get the decision.
Of course, with the bubble, can you talk about, were you at the bubble as the PA announcer or were you at home
No,
watching it?
yeah, they had very limited staffing, and I think everybody who was up in Lake Placid, I mean, who were running the game day operations, were either affiliated with the league or with Herb Brooks Arena. So I was not invited, unfortunately, up to the bubble. So I watched all the games on Twitch like everyone else. Didn't work. I was just a fan, and I was very honored when they decided to hold the championship down in Boston that they asked me to do the PA for it.
Can you talk about, of course, being the PA announcer for the championship game, watching Boston Pride win the Isobel Cup?
Well, I tell you, it was a thrill to be there. I'll tell you, with this game being on national television and everything, I have pretty limited experience compared to a lot of people as a PA guy. I've done 3 seasons now with the Pride and 2 with UMass Dartmouth. So the Friday, the first games, the semifinal games were on a Friday, and I took the day off from my regular job. I was just so nervous. I was climbing the walls, so nervous that I was going to screw up, and knowing that this was on national television and everything. But it went well, and I was able to get through the butterflies, and got a lot of nice feedback from fans during the game who were happy to be watching. And Saturday went a lot smoother because I was also able to go home, watch the game. A funny thing was for the semifinal games, I actually was wearing my mask, um, even though I was vaccinated and everything. Those are the rules up here in Massachusetts at the time. So when I heard it, it sounded fine, but I could tell I had a mask on. I don't know if the listeners, the viewers on NBC Sports Network could tell, but I could tell. So for the championship game on Saturday night, I said, look, I'm not wearing my mask when I'm talking here. Sorry, guys, if you don't like it, sit on the outside of the penalty box there. So I thought it sounded a lot better on the championship game. But yeah, to be there, to be on the ice with people I've gotten to know over the years was a great thrill.
Can you talk about, of course, calling games for Caitlin Frack and Taylor Winkowski and other players like Mackenzie Brad?
Well, like I said, it's so much fun being right there at ice level in Boston. The PA booth between myself and Aaron, another volunteer for the team, we do the PA, and she does the clock, and the two of us handle the music together. So it's two of us doing three jobs, and we're right there at center ice. If you're at NBC Sports Network, you were looking directly at us, right in between the two penalty boxes. It's a lot of fun watching these athletes play, and I think back to the 2019-20 team, the Boston Pride team that went 26-1, and that team was just so incredibly talented, and they just ran roughshod over the league. It was such a shame the season got canceled. The championship game got canceled just 48 hours before it was scheduled. What I can say to people who haven't watched the NWHL, you guys don't realize the level of skill and speed in this game. I know I've had some friends that I have talked into coming to games up in Boston, and they have all instantly become fans after watching them play.
What was it like personally for you to stand right next to the Isobel Cup after they won?
Well, I'll be honest with you, Brandon. I didn't get to stand right next to the cup, so that was really though by my design. I'm just a lowly game day employee. To me, that night it was a night for the players and for the staff who put in all the hours throughout the season. I kind of stood out of the way. I took it all in, took a lot of pictures, but my entire 2020-21 season, it consisted of maybe working 12 hours or so. So I just felt it really wasn't my place to be in the middle of their celebration. I don't know if that makes sense to you or not. I mean, I'll tell you, I desperately wanted to be out there and lift the cup up and be in the middle of all the sweaty celebration with the champagne and everything. But I just felt, like I said, it really wasn't my place. Some of the players came over and thanked us for the work that we do. And, Julian Dempsey in particular, I think she came over 3 or 4 times, actually. That meant a lot to us. Hey, but that being said, if I happen to get some time with the cup this summer, I'd be thrilled. Hey, and if anybody from the Pride's watching, throwing a big graduation party for my daughter. She graduated college a couple of weeks ago. So throwing a big party for her. So, naturally, Isobel and the entire Pride organization are absolutely invited. I think Isobel really needs to experience my award-winning man cave in person.
That's amazing. What are some of the notable catchphrases that you say during the Boston Pride games?
I really don't have any catchphrases that I use during the game. I think my job as the PA guy is to inject a lot of energy into the game. I've been known to stretch out a name or two for a little while, especially during introductions. Especially like a name like Mallory Soliotis. That's a name that I can make last for for a while. I think basketball really has more opportunities for stylizing announcements than hockey does. At the Pride games, I get to ad lib a lot, like say during the intermissions when we're running some of our promotions. So that's been fun, and I guess that's where I get to put a little more of my personality into it. I remember when I did the AllStar Game, which was held in Boston last year. During the skills competition, my script pretty much told me, make it fun. So I was able to kind of riff a lot and get snarky a few times. I remember when I watched the replay on Twitch later, I heard the play-by-play announcers comment that the PA guy's throwing shade at everyone today. So that was a lot of fun.
Can you talk about, of course, the time when you did the All-Star Game and what that was like?
Sure. Yeah, that was a huge honor. A league event, you're never sure if the league is going to bring in their own people or, just by virtue of being the hometown guy, was I able to make the cut. But yeah, they asked me to do the All-Star Game. That was a lot of fun. The skills competition was just so much fun. It's such a different atmosphere than doing a game. Like I said, the script was just like fun with it. So I got to tease players and make fun of people who were doing silly things during like the shoot around and stuff, the breakaway competition. it was a thrill to be part of that, and really you get to kind of peek behind the door and see what goes into putting on a big event like that, which is really different than your regular game.
What is something that you learn now that you didn't know before becoming a PA announcer?
Oh yeah, like I was just saying, the amount of coordination and teamwork that goes into doing a job, especially I'm talking for the championship tournament. When it was broadcast on national TV, having to hit, it's not just talking. People think being a PA guy is that grab the mic and just talk. It's not that. You have scripts that you have to follow. You have certain things that you have to do at certain times. It's really kind of a performance. And I guess you don't realize how much goes into that until you experience. And for the championship round that was on NBC Sports Network, having to talk and listen at the same time because people are giving you instructions on what you need to do, sometimes right as you're in the middle of a sentence. They're telling you how to finish that sentence. So you really have to be on your toes and be alert. It's not just, here's the microphone, just go talk. If you're not going first, and that really helps. But there's a lot more to it than that. And also, having done different sports, the different styles that PA takes on for different sports, it's something that you probably don't realize. I mean, I just do hockey and basketball right now. But basketball, there's a whole lot more that goes on, during the game for basketball than for hockey. Hockey, while the action is going, it's pretty chilled out. The only thing I'm announcing in a hockey game during play are, goals and penalties. And, like 1 minute left in the period. But in basketball, you're announcing who scored every basket. You're announcing every foul, every out of bounds play, every substitution. So you really have to be on your toes a lot more in basketball. You really have to be paying closer attention in basketball. But that kind of flipped when play stops in hockey. Then I have a lot more to do than I do in basketball. So there's different approaches, and I'm sure people who have done not play-by-play, PA for say baseball and football, those are also different animals. So it all depends on the sport you're doing. And then doing announcing as the in-arena host is so much different than doing play-by-play. So as a PA guy, being able to play up the home team while at the same time not being disrespectful to the visiting team, it's a skill that not everyone has, having gone to a lot of games in a lot of different places. It's not something that everybody does well.
Of course, in the NWHL, who are some of your favorite players, not including the Boston Pride players that you have called games for against Boston Pride?
Not included. Let's see. Oh, there's so many. Always. Everybody got to wear the regular numbers, and I didn't realize this until probably maybe it was halfway through the first period when Madison got a penalty, and I announced it. I looked at number 9. I didn't realize it was her. I just looked at number 9 and announced the first number 9. After I did that, I realized there were 4 number 9s on one team, and she came in the box and yelled, "Hey, I don't mind you giving somebody else my penalties as long as you give me their points." And yeah, the talent this year, Michaela Grant-Mentis was just outstanding. When the NWHL announced their awards, it was no surprise that she took home everything she was nominated for. Amanda Levier was fantastic. Shayna Zabatos has always been a favorite of mine. I could probably go on and on if you gave me a few minutes to think. There's so much talent in the league. There really is.
Where can my listeners want to know more about? What advice would you give upcoming future PA announcers looking to get started in the professional sport?
Don't follow my lead. I didn't become a PA announcer until I was in my 50s. But it shows, hey, it's never too late to try. Make contacts, because every job I got was through a contact of somebody I happen to know. Practice your craft, get to know people. Don't be afraid to take on some other jobs while you're waiting for that big break. because you never know, and keep your eyes open, because I know that there are jobs over the place that open up every year. I've been looking, actually, because I don't do any during the summer. I mean, I do my other stuff. I do studying and everything else, but I would love to be an announcer for a baseball team somewhere. And there are jobs all over the country, including some major league jobs opened up this year. I know Cubs have a new PA person. Baltimore has a new PA person. Miami has a new PA person. So the jobs open up. So, keep putting yourself out there. Make yourself a demo tape that showcases your skills and what you can do. That's going to be important in getting your name out there, getting yourself noticed. Don't do something that's just crazy and wacky. Show your personality. Show it can be fun and professional at the same time.
That's wonderful advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media?
Okay. You can actually check out my my full-time, my second part-time job, which is stadiumjourney.com. You can check out there. It's a sports travel website. We do a lot of travel around the world to different sporting events. And if you like to check out, if you're a stadium nerd, it's the place to go for information. For me personally, I am on all the social medias. You can find me at PuckmanRI.
Thank you again, Paul Baker, for your interview, and best of luck with the Boston Pride in this upcoming year.
Thanks again, Brandon. Love being on the show.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Paul Baker, for your interview, and best of luck.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.